Time by Geronimo Stilton. So the first chapter is, the trouble begins. All my troubles began on Saturday evening. It had been a truly unbearable day. I was finally scampering home after a super duper long day of work at the Rodents Gazette. And have I mentioned I was working on a Saturday? Oh, pardon me. I almost forgot to introduce myself. My name is Stilton, Geronimo Stilton, and I run the Rodents Gazette, the most famous newspaper on Mouse Island. As I was saying, it had been a super duper long day of work. New Mouse City was voting on new laws to protect the city. Pirate cats were threatening Mouse Island. And the Rodents Gazette was helping to find a solution. By the time I got home, it was already dark out, and I was sleepier than the dormouse in Alice's Adventures in Mousyland. Yawning, I tried to put my key in the lock by the light of the street lamps, and that's how it all started. I didn't notice there was an enormous rock on my doormat. What was it doing here? Who knows? I stubbed my paw. Yee, ouch! Lost my balance and hit my snout against the door to my apartment. Kabang! I began to hop up and down on my good paw, yowling in pain. I could feel a world record-sized bump forming on the top of my snout. Meanwhile, I tried to think, why was there a big rock on my doormat? Who could have put it there? And more important, why? I decided to take a closer look at the rock I'd stubbed my paw on. And that's when I noticed the mysterious rock was wrapped in a piece of paper. So I picked it up and read, a mysterious message for Geronimo Stilton. P.S. Read it, chump, but don't let anyone see you, okay? Rancid rat heads. The rock was covered in a very mysterious message. I picked up the rock, slid it into my pocket, and quickly looked to my right and to my left to see if anyone was watching. Then I scurried inside, locked the door behind me, and just to be sure, locked the door with a chair. I lowered the blinds, pulled out the rock, and enfolded the paper with the message. How mysterious! It was unsigned. Who had sent this to me, and why? I had no choice. If I wanted to understand, I needed to follow all the strange instructions on the mysterious letter. I checked my watch. There were less than 2 hours to midnight. I had just enough time to get ready. First, I looked for the black suit that my friend Daniel E. Deadfer had given me for my birthday years before. Now, where on earth had I put it? I looked everywhere. Finally, I found it on top of a wardrobe, or I should say that the suit found me. It fell right on my snout, along with the heavy wooden trunk. I slipped into the black suit. It had been chewed by moths and smelled terribly of mildew. Plus, it was too tight. Crumbling cheddar. I had gotten a bit of the belly in the last year or two. I sucked in my breath so the buttons of the jacket wouldn't pop. Then I moved on to the secret message's second request, wear dark glasses. I had a pair around somewhere. My friend Secret Agent OK had given them to me. This time, I found them right away. They were in my secret hiding place, along with all my gear for my missions as OOG, which I carry out for PSSST, the Powerful Secretist Service Team. I put them on and looked in the mirror. They made me look so cool and mysterious. Still wearing my dark glasses, I left my secret laboratory. I can't tell you where it is. Otherwise, what kind of secret would it be? And I scurried back into the house. Then I opened the safe where I kept a wheel of my very precious stinky cheese I inherited from my great-great-great-grandfather. I put a few pieces of cheese on a platter and stumbled through the dark. I had turned off the lights and bolted the door and windows and headed for the living room. But I forgot to take off those dark glasses, so I couldn't see a thing. I tripped on the carpet. I tried my best to stay on my feet, but I stuck my paw in a vase of roses, covered with thorns. And then I hit my knee against the corner of the table and ended up snout down on the floor. But somehow I didn't spill a single piece of cheese. Chapter 2: Mystifying Mysteries. By now, it was almost midnight. I turned on the TV and sat wearing my dark suit and my dark glasses with a bunch of stinky cheese in front of me, just as the secret message had instructed. When it struck midnight, the screen turned black, and suddenly I heard a terrifying howl that froze my whiskers. Woo! A voice as deep and mysterious as a moonless night announced, "And now, ladies and gentle mice, it's bedtime for all the scaredy mice out there, for we are about to show you mystifying mysteries in search of lost civilizations." On the screen, a spotlight illuminated a very familiar snout. I'll give you one guess who it belonged to. Yep, it was my cousin Trap advertising a show called Mystifying Mysteries. Cheese niblets! I had no idea that Trap had started hosting a late-night television show, but how was it connected to the mysterious message, the dark suit, the dark glasses, and the cheese? I didn't understand a thing, so I decided to watch the show, even though it wasn't supposed to be for fraidy mice like me. Trap picked up the microphone. Mouse friends, welcome to Mystifying Mysteries in Search of Lost Civilizations. In this super spine-tingling episode, I will reveal the most mysterious mysteries of all time. So hold on to your hats. I'm talking about the mysteries, like the lost kingdom of Atlantis, the mystical stone circle Stonehenge, and maybe even a trip into the future. The camera zoomed in close on Trap's snout, and he winked. Not bad, right? These are super fancy mysteries. This is not amateur hour. I am a mystery professional, and today I will be helped by my assistant, who will do exactly as I say. Why? This particular mouse doesn't even know who he is yet. Let's all get him together. Are you ready? Then follow me. Now I was really intrigued. I wondered, who will this poor mouse turn out to be? I felt sorry for the unfortunate rat who would become my cousin's assistant. Victim would probably be a better word for it. And I felt so lucky that it wasn't me this time. You see, I know my cousin Trap well. He really knows how to take advantage of a rodent. Meanwhile, I kept watching the TV. Trap was scurrying through the streets of New Mouse City. The camera followed his every move. He turned around and said, "Well, wait till you see what a surprise this is. I guarantee this cheddar face doesn't suspect a thing." I leaped out of my chair. What a coincidence, that's my neighborhood. How odd, that's my street. How peculiar. This poor rodent lives in my neighborhood. Then Just then, my doorbell began to ring. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. Chapter 3. Who's the victim now? I ran to the door and threw it open. Trap stuck his snout in the entryway. My dear viewers, here he is, he yelled at the top of his squeak. This is the new assistant, secretary, Handy Mouse, my cousin, Geronimo Stilton. Moldy mozzarella, I finally got it. That poor mouse who would be Trap's victim, his assistant, was me. I almost fainted from embarrassment. Trap dragged me into my porch and tossed a piece of stinky cheese under my snout to keep me awake. Then he stuck a microphone in my snout. So, cuz, are you or are you not a journalist? Yes, of course I'm a journalist. And as a journalist, are you ready to face any danger in order to discover the truth? Yes, of course I'm ready for everything, I murmured. Did you hear that? Ready for anything. So, then you agree to leave me in search of mysteries. I shook my snout. I was about to say, absolutely not, but Trap interrupted me. You heard that right, reviewers? He shouted into his microphone. He said absolutely yes. Trap pinched my tail and whispered, smile, bow, and say thank you. Your public is waiting. I no longer had the courage to tell the truth. You see, I'm a terrible fraidy mouse, and I really didn't want to go in search of mysteries. As soon as the camera turned off, I began to protest. Trap, why in the name of cheddar would you storm into my house with all those cameras and not even warn me? What do you mean? I did warn you. You found my message, right? You're even dressed in a dark suit and glasses. But what was the stinky cheese for? Ah, the stinky cheese. It had 3 purposes, my dear Geronimo. First, it was to help you, to come to in case you fainted. Second, it was so I would have something to snack on, because I'm terribly hungry. And third, to give me energy. A mouse-ific adventure is about to begin. Move those paws, cousin. We need to go, Trap went on. Remember that now you're my assistant, and you need to do everything I say, including polishing my shoes and washing my dirty socks. I complained, but I don't want to be your assistant. Tomorrow you must explain everything to the public. I don't want to go in search of mysteries. Trap lifted an eyebrow. My audience will be disappointed, and they will be dismayed. Why? I think they will be devastated. Everyone in New Mouse City tuned in and saw you. And you know that my show is the most popular show on Mouse TV, right? No one here in New Mouse City ever misses it. Just then, I heard a ding. My email inbox had begun to fill up with messages. Next, my phone began to ring, and my cell phone began to ring. My cell phone began to vibrate. Gobzo Gouda! They were all messages from my friends and relatives complimenting me on my courage. My sister, Thea, called and squeaked, "Well done, Jerryberry! I had no idea you were so brave." Next, my Aunt Sweetfur called, "My wonderful wet nephew, you were quite courageous, but won't it be dangerous?" And Benjamin explained, "Uncle, you've gotten so tough. I barely recognize you anymore." Then Bruce Heiner called, "Congrats, you cheeseball. You finally turned into a real mouse. You've made me prouder than a peacock in spring. Just be sure to come back alive, okay?" Even Daniel E. Deadfur called me. "Well done. You wore my black suit. You just look perfect for your funeral." I got a call from every mouse I know. Trap was right. No one misses his show. Even Grandfather William called me. Well done, grandson. For once you've done something right, he barked. You've made the right choice agreeing to go. Mysteries are very popular with the public. I expect a mouserific scoop about the most mystifying mysteries in history. Can't wait to see how much our readers like it. When I hung up, Trap smirked at me. Do you really want to give up, cuz? He asked. Do you really want to look like a scaredy rat on TV? Do you really want to disappoint all your friends, Grandfather William, and even Benjamin? Alas, my cousin knows me well. I would never disappoint the rodents dearest to me in the world, especially not Benjamin. No, I don't want to disappoint them, I murmured. Quicker than a cat with a ball of yarn, Trap pulled out a contract. Sign here, you're hired. By the way, we leave tomorrow morning at dawn. You only have a few hours left. Before I could read it, he stuffed the contract into his pocket. I wanted to protest, but then the door to my house burst open and Thea, Benjamin, and Benjamin's best pal, Bugsy Wugsy, scurried in. They were all dressed in black and wearing dark glasses like ours. Benjamin squeaked for the whole group. We want to go too. We want to come in search of mysteries. I'm the boss. Everyone began squeaking at the same time, demanding to know what mystifying mysteries would uncover. I am the boss here, so I decide, Trap said solemnly. Here are the mysteries that we will unveil. First, the mystery of Atlantis. Second, the mystery of Stonehenge. Third, the mysterious future. Hooray! When do we leave? Asked Bugsy. I, on the other paw, cried. 1 minute. Everyone stop. How do you think we will uncover all these mysteries? Going into the future is impossible. You would need a time machine, Trap replied, nodding. Exactly. But we don't have a time machine, so we can't solve the mysteries, I said with relief. Great, so no danger then. Benjamin pulled at my jacket. Oh no, Uncle G. That's too bad. I really wanted to go on a journey through time to uncover the most mysterious of mysteries in all of the history. I patted his head fondly. It will have to wait for another time, Benjamin. Sooner or later, Professor One World will invite us to go on another journey through time. Now, to make you feel better, I will get a nice midnight snack and then we can all go to bed. I'm down for the snack, Trap said. But remember that I'm the boss here. So before you do anything else, call Professor One World and ask him to lend us a time machine. What do you mean? I certainly will not disturb the professor in the middle of the night because of you and your bizarre television show. Plus, I only call him in case of emergencies. Trap waved the contract he had just made me sign under my snout. Better read here, cuz. Here, use my magnifying glass. Smoking Swiss cheese. It said that if I didn't obey my cousin, I would have to wash his socks, even if they were stinky, for the rest of my life. Squeak! Trap had totally trapped me. I had no choice. I would have to call Professor One-Lot. Trap wasn't about to give up. But before you make that call, come on, make us a snack, he ordered me. We are as hungry as tomcats at a mouse buffet. I was a bit hungry myself, so I cooked a bunch of spaghetti with melted mozzarella. Then, as everyone was stuffing their snouts, I took the Walter phone and dialed Professor One World's secret number. The Walter phone was a phone that Professor One World's used to make it his secret locator. Geronimo can only use it in case of emergencies. It has a radar and a satellite navigator. Holy cheese, how strange! The professor's phone was busy. But how was that even possible? I was the only one on all of Mouse Island who had his number. Confused, I hung up. The water phone vibrated immediately. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The professor was calling me. That's why his phone was busy. One Wolf's voice quivered with emotion. Dear Geronimo, come at once and bring your friends. I will wait for you on the beach at Bimini tomorrow at 9. Click! Does anyone know where that is? I returned to the others with my whiskers trembling. Do you want to hear something fantastic? Professor Oneworld was calling me the same very moment. I was trying to call him. He wants us to meet him tomorrow at midnight on the beach in Bimini. But does anyone know where that is? Benjamin looked at his iPad, a super modern tablet that's always connected to the internet. He slid it in front of my snout. Squeak! Bimini is so far away. It's way over in the Bahamas. I was super worried. How could we reach the professor in such a short time? Did the professor say why he was calling? He asked. No, he just told me to bring you with me and he urged us to be punctual. He will be waiting for us tomorrow at midnight on the dot. I paused. I think he wants to go on another journey through time, so Trap can put his whole idea about the search for mysteries out of his snout. It's way too dangerous. A journey through time like the ones we're used to is better, and those are dangerous enough without any mysteries to solve. Trap frowned. Humph! I want to go in search of mysteries. And you, Geronimo, remember that you're my my assistant. You need to help me convince the professor. I put my paw down. No, I will not help you. I will go only when Professor Oneworld says. Traveling through time is no joke. There needs to be a good reason for going. Trump smiled under his whiskers. I get it. I'll be the one to convince the professor. I already know how to do it. He showed me a mysterious metal briefcase and tapped it proudly. The answer to every problem is in here. I cut him in here. I cut him off. I don't care what's in here. I will go only where the professor says. Everyone else agreed, and that is everyone but Bugsy, who shouted, Uncle G, you're always so boring. I want to go in search of mysteries. Trap snickered. Don't worry, Bugsy. Uncle Trap will take you in search of mysteries. Then they began to whisper under their whiskers. Psst, 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 psst. Who knows what those two were plotting? But we had a more urgent matter. How to get to Bimini in less than 24 hours. It was an impossible endeavor. I turned to my sister. Thea, any ideas on how we can get there in time? She smiled like a cat who's swallowed a mouse. Let me make a couple of calls. 2 phone calls later, and 2 hours later, my sister got off her cell phone. Then she announced, a dear friend will lend us his sports car, and another dear friend will take us with his superjet. Oh, did I forget to mention? My sister, Thea, has lots of friends who admire her and are ready to help her at any hour of the day or night. A few minutes later, we were in Thea's friend's sports car. He was a fascinating rodent with a passion for race cars. I could tell at once he admired Thea very much. An hour later, we boarded the supersonic superjet of Thea's other friend. He was an actor, and I could tell right away why Thea was friends with him. He was very nice. Unfortunately, both friends were obsessed with speed. A third friend let us use his super speedy motorboat to zoom all the way to the beach in Bimini. I was so exhausted from the trip, I flopped onto the sand like a jellyfish. The beach was deserted. The moon was full and as round as a wheel of cheese, and it was making silvery shimmers on the sea. As I was dreamily looking at the sky, a strange thing happened. The waves began to crash against the shore, and I caught a sight of Millman. Then the most terrifying creature I had ever seen emerged from the water. Help! It's a monster of the seven seas! I cried, running faster than the mouse who went up the clock. The monster began to call my name. Geronimo! Come back here! Now I was even more terrified. Help! The monster of the seven seas knows my name. But a moment later, I realized I know that squeak anywhere. It was Professor One Wald. I hurried back to the shoreline, trying to play it cool. I was just pretending to be scared. I wasn't really scared. Bugsy snickered. That looked like real fear to me. Your whiskers are still shaking. She shook her snout pityingly. You really are a scaredy mouse, Uncle G. But Thea smiled. That was some sprint, Geronimo. You should join the track team. But Benjamin just smiled and took my paw. He really is the sweetest. A porthole in the giant sea monster popped open, and the Professor One Walt appeared. He pulled out a megaphone. I didn't mean to scare you. This is a mega octo portal, my new secret laboratory. Please come in. Inside the octo portal, the professor greeted us warmly. Hello, friends. Make yourselves at home. Then he turned to me and asked curiously, Geronimo, why are you dressed all in black? Are you all going to a funeral? My ears drooped in embarrassment. No. They are dressed this way because they're fans of Trapp's new TV show, Mystifying Mysteries, in search of lost civilization. I, on the other paw, have been tricked into wearing this ridiculous outfit. Geronimo, your clothes are so elegant. They give me an inspiration for your trip. But now come, I made you a little snack. The professor had prepared a mouserific meal with dozens of cheesy chews and other snacks. Yum! Just when I was about to bite into a tasty little cheese puff, a rodent I didn't know curried in. She had dark fur tied back into a ponytail. She was walking while reading and not looking where she was going. I had just noticed that she wore glasses, like me, when she tripped over a chair. She ended up with her paws up, flying through the air. But a moment before she fell snout first into the cheesecake, I caught her. But I lost my balance, and I was the one who ended up with his snout buried in cake. Squeak! I was covered in whipped cream up to my ears. I turned bright red with embarrassment. What a terrible first impression. I looked just like berry and cheese tart. Luckily, the mysterious rodent kept reading and didn't notice a thing. Professor One Walt scurried over and introduced us. Geronimo, this is my beloved niece, Misty. She will travel through time with you. Misty, this is my dear friend, Geronimo. Misty finally looked up from her book and smiled. Ah, yes, so you're the famous Geronimo. She grabbed my paw and squeezed it so hard she nearly crushed it. Nice to meet you, I stammered. What a strong grip do you have, Misty? Do you play sports? Just a little, just to stay in shape, she replied. The professor cleared his throat. Now, let me tell you why I asked you to come here. As you know, pirate cats are threatening Mars Island. I believe we should come to an agreement and avoid a standoff. After all, peace is the most precious resource. Ancient civilizations have faced many similar problems. That's why I will send you to the past to learn from their mistakes and show that all minds that peace is always the best solution. What do you think? Will you help me? Yes! We all shouted together. Everyone but Trap, who began to grumble. The mission sounds fine, but where are we going? The professor and Misty exchanged knowing looks. The destination is a mystery, he replied. Trap lit up. A mystery? Okay then, I don't want to brag, but I am a specialist in mysteries. And speaking of mysteries, Professor, have you seen my new TV show? But the professor continued. I will tell you your destination later. But now follow me through the mega octo portal to the secret place where I keep the new time machine. Flying cheese sticks. This was so exciting. The professor led us up and down the lab until we found ourselves in an enormous room. In front of us was a miniature copy of the octo portal. Here it is, the Time Tentacle 2000. One Walt announced proudly. It is an exact copy of my new secret laboratory, the Mega Octo Portal, and it can travel through time. It is an extraordinary vehicle. It's amphibious, which means it can travel on land and in water. It can camouflage itself very easily. It can shrink down so you can wear it on your finger, just like a ring. It can fly like a helicopter. Plus, its tentacles contain emergency equipment of all times. Cheese Nicholas! The new time machine was truly terrific. Wow, this is groovier than Gorgonzola, Benjamin shouted. Bugsy, who had recently become very interested in fashion, pulled out Professor One Walt's jacket and asked, Professor, have you already created our uniforms and the clothes that we will wear in the different time periods? Huh? I already have the special material for your uniforms, but I didn't know how to design them. I really like the stock suits you're wearing, so I've decided to make the uniforms identical. I'll head to my lab to work on them. Be right back. He returned a short while later, pushing a clothing rack with our uniforms. Here you go. I have equipped them with a new gadget, a chronotag. It's a special microchip that allows your uniforms to transform according to the fashion of the different time periods. I think you'll find these uniforms are just the perfect thing for the 7 travelers for peace. 7 travelers? But there are only 6 of us, Benjamin observed. No, he's the 7th, Thea exclaimed. He was nibbling on my tail. Cheesem. Born from the Quantico Cheezo brain of the Cheezosphere, Cheesem is a mini robot / computer. He doesn't chew on bones. He feeds on information. He is very devoted to Geronimo. Maybe a little bit too devoted. The brains are connected and they can communicate telepathically. Melted mozzarella! The 7th traveler was Cheesem. The 7th uniform was for him. Cheesem jumped around my neck, licking my snout. Slurp, sniff, slap. Then an incredible thing happened. I knew what he had just said, which was, Geronimo, I'm so happy to see you. Professor Cheesem talked inside my head, I stammered. Interesting. Cheesem has learned how to communicate with you telepathically, Geronimo. I could explain it better, but there's no time. You need to put on the new uniforms, and I must show you all their extraordinary abilities. We put on the new uniforms. They seemed identical to the clothes we had been wearing before, but actually they were very, very different. And now, let me show you my masterpiece, the time glasses, the professor continued. Hey, those look just like my sunglasses, Trap explained. They seem identical, but these are no ordinary glasses, the professor explained. They are the latest model of a computer, and they are unbreakable, indestructible, and adapt to night vision. They have a built-in microphone so you can communicate with one another when necessary. Thanks to these glasses and the special panels Misty has created, you'll be able to study up on each time period you visit. I was about to ask Professor Wanwald what our destination was when Trap winked and pulled a package out of his mysterious briefcase. A delicious smell of almond and vanilla wafted from it. He poured the package to the professor and said, "These are for you. They're cookies that your grandmother used to bake for you. I asked my favorite bakery, the one that knows all the recipes of all the sweets on Mouse Island, to make them for you." A tear rolled down the professor's snout. My grandmother told me to count with these cookies. Just the smell of them reminds me of when I was a wee ratlet. Trap smirked. You want these cookies? Then you need to let us travel through time when I say to Atlantis, to Stonehenge, and to New Mouse City of the future. The professor smiled under his whiskers. And so it shall be, Trap. Trap pinched my ear. See, cuz? I told you I would convince Professor Wanwald. I was horrified by Trap's behavior. Shame on you, Trap. Professor Wanwald is sending us on a peace mission, but all you can think about is your show. But the professor winked. Geronimo, 2 cookies didn't change my mind, even though they are my favorites. I want to send you to Atlantis, Stonehenge, and the future. That's why I came to Bimini. Some writers with a passion for archaeology believe they found the remains of Atlantis here. The ancient philosopher Plato believed that the city of Atlantis was destroyed because of a war that made the gods angry. So they caused terrible disasters. And long ago, there was a war between the Celts and the Romans. I'm sending you to the past to learn how to avoid the same mistakes. So why do you need us to go into the future? I asked, because I'm curious to know how this whole story will end. Will we mice be able to keep the peace on a beautiful Mouse Island? I nodded. You are wise, my friend. I turned to Trap, Thea, Benjamin, Bugsy, and Misty. So what are we waiting for? All aboard, off we go. Hooray for the 7 travels for peace, Benjamin and Bugsy cried. We scurried into the time tentacle too. Another great adventure through time was about to begin. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned to watch part 2 of Geronimo Stilton, The 7th Journey to Time. And please subscribe and click the notification bell to listen to more videos of my books. Thanks!